Some horror sequels get worse over time. Others just get blamed for things that aren't entirely their fault.
Long time no see, pal.
Today we're talking Child's Play 3, the third entry in the Child's Play franchise, and easily one of the most divisive. For a lot of people, this is when the series starts to fall off. It was rushed, it's a little repetitive, it doesn't quite hit the same highs as the first two films. But here's the thing, I don't think this movie is bad. In fact, I think Child's Play 3 deserves an apology.
Andy, how you've grown.
The biggest issue with Child's Play 3 isn't the concept, it's the timing. This movie came out less than a year after Child's Play 2, which is kind of insane.
Suddenly, I have an office at Universal, and it's just steps down from the Alfred Hitchcock building.
That meant the script, the production, and the overall development of this film were rushed in a way that the previous films were not. Even Don Mancini has talked about how the tight turnaround affected the final product. There just wasn't enough time to fully develop new ideas. And yeah, you can feel that in parts of the movie. But at the same time, it also explains why the movie relies so heavily on what worked before. So the movie opens once again by bringing Chucky back. Because, of course. The Good Guy Doll Factory is operational, and through a series of events, Chucky is reconstructed yet again. At this point, resurrection is basically part of the franchise formula. But I will say this movie moves a lot quicker than its predecessors. There's no slow build this time, no mystery. Chucky is back and you better be fucking ready. Of course, Andy is now older and has been sent to a military academy, which is already a pretty big shift for the series. The actor has also changed, but if you ask me, this kid was a dead ringer for an aged up Andy. Instead of suburban homes or toy factories, the setting is now strict and controlled. And that contrast actually works really well for this concept, because you're placing a chaotic, unpredictable character like Chucky into an environment built entirely around order.
This means war.
Meanwhile, Chucky's goal hasn't changed, but it has been updated a bit to a new child. So let's talk about this military school setting. This is one of the most underrated aspects of Child's Play 3. The military school gives the movie a unique identity within the franchise. I actually sponsored a screening of Child's Play 3 at this location that stood in for the military school. I'm going to put up some photos and videos in here from that. It was absolutely incredible. And at some point, since I live an hour away from there, I'm going to drive back there and film a proper film location tour video. But it isn't just the new location. It changes the dynamics altogether. You've got authority figures everywhere, routines, and I must say, this movie makes a perfect counterpart to the film Major Payne.
You know, you remind me of the Doughboy. If I poke your stomach, we'll make you go, oh!
You remember that movie? It's fucking great, isn't it? Here's where the criticisms usually come in. Compared to Child's Play 2, this movie feels less inventive, less energetic, and just not as memorable. It doesn't have a factory finale, it doesn't reinvent the formula. It definitely feels like the most standard of the original trilogy, right? But that doesn't make it bad. It just makes it less flashy. My only criticisms are the same ones that Don Mancini had, and they're really just about the casting.
And then I felt like the casting of the little boy who played Tyler, Jeremy Silvers, although he was a really good performer, he was too old for the role.
Which, at this point, I can completely overlook and just appreciate for what it is. This kid was written to be half Jeremy's age when Jeremy Silver played this role. And aside from him, you got Dakin Matthews.
This manly man's man, takes one sight at a doll that's alive and he has a heart attack. That was meant to work as a joke.
And Don Mancini intended for his death scene to be a little funnier with an R. Lee Ermey type Full Metal Jacket guy who's a stereotypical tough guy, but he has a heart attack just from seeing a killer doll being alive and talking to him. Obviously, he is once again voiced by Brad Dourif. Chucky is still the best part of the movie. At this point, the character is fully formed. Even in rush production, Brad Dourif does not phone this role in. And that consistency is a big reason the franchise altogether holds up so well. And if you watch this as a kid, there's one scene everybody remembers. It's the paintball scene. The paintball war sequence is easily the standout moment in the movie. What starts as a training exercise quickly devolves into terror after Chucky replaces the paint rounds with live ammunition.
This ought to slow the pricks down.
It's tense, chaotic, and it's pretty creative, if you ask me. It's the kind of set piece that proves the movie does have strong ideas. It just doesn't always build around them as effectively as it could. So why do you think Child's Play 3 gets such a negative reputation amongst the fans?
I also do think that generally that 3's reputation is lower even than Seed's.
A lot of it comes down to comparison. Hell, a lot of people won't even watch movies that take place after this one. Different people who are fans of the Child's Play franchise have their preferences, and that's fine. I personally enjoy all of it. I know some people only watch the first 3 films. Some people stop after Bride. Some people stop after Seed. Some people don't like the series. Some people have mixed match ones they watch. You know what I mean? But if you look at this movie on its own, it's a solid slasher sequel with a unique setting, one of the best slasher villains of all time, and a few genuinely memorable moments. And in hindsight, it's important for another reason, because this is the last of this original trilogy. These movies kind of stand together as Andy's original, fight against Chucky. After this, the series would take a long break, and it would come back with a completely different tone with Bride of Chucky. And honestly, Bride of Chucky is my favorite in the franchise. Personal favorite. So I welcomed that shift. Overall, Child's Play 3 is definitely not the best of the franchise. If somebody says it's their favorite, I'll definitely respect it though. And it's far from the worst. It's a victim of its own production schedule, its placement in the series, and the expectations set by the films around it. But I think there is still plenty to appreciate when it comes to Child's Play 3. Maybe it's not perfect, but you can turn in your apologies now. Quick thank you to my channel members and Patreon subscribers. If you want more ectoviolence, including exclusive videos and behind-the-scenes content, become a member by clicking the links in the description below.